Not only singing, but also normal life is forbidden for a woman in Iran. I lived like this for 27 years of my life. For example, I love to dance, but I had to learn to dance from American music videos and dance in my room. I don't know how you can imagine such a life, but I live it. It took me years to understand what pleasures I lost as a human being and a woman.
In this
it's
case,
really painful.
Treasury,
when I came to Sweden, when I saw the girls.
What next?
All right, Ed, thanks for now on that. Well, we're going to cross now to Downing Street and our political correspondent, Tamara Cohen. Tamara, obviously, Ed talking there about looking ahead slightly. I mean, the bulk of these measures are likely to be in tax rises rather than spending cuts, aren't they?
That's what I think we'll hear most of today, Ian. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary for a Chancellor to be talking about tax policy, not in the House of Commons initially as he would for a budget, but in an on-camera statement. But it shows the haste to which he felt they needed to act. Now, this follows Jeremy Hunt having intense talks with Liz Truss at Chequers, her country house, yesterday, and he will, first of all, in this statement he's giving us late morning, and then later in the House of Commons, be essentially shredding the bits of her mini-budget that haven't been U-turned on already. I think we can expect that the cut in income tax from 20p to 19p is likely to be in the firing line. Potentially some of the other smaller measures, that one might bring in £5 billion. Some of the other measures, for example, she announced something on VAT-free shopping for tourists, changes to the self-employment rules known as IR35, all of this could be out. And that would be really the bulk of the mini-budget measures she announced. You could have very little, perhaps just the national insurance rise and the stamp duty changes left. There are even suggestions, completely unconfirmed at the moment, that potentially the energy freeze policy might be reassessed in some way. The new Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, in post just since Friday afternoon, has made clear that mistakes were made. That's what he said in weekend interviews, and that difficult decisions on spending are required. But even if they throw out all of these budget measures that Liz Truss and her former Chancellor announced, they're still looking at a big hole in the public finances, according to what has been put about these OBR forecasts. And so while I don't think we're going to get the details of spending cuts today, all of that will still be for the end of the month, we may get some hints of it, and perhaps whether the government might look at even raising taxes after Liz Truss staked her whole leadership campaign on cutting them. So as well as having to bring economic stability with this statement today, Jeremy Hunt also needs to buy some time for Liz Truss, because make no mistake, although only 3 Conservative MPs are now calling for her to go, and that's quite something for a Prime Minister who's only been in post for 5 weeks, others behind the scenes are manoeuvring, and things may start moving quickly. So she needs to have her position shored up. It doesn't mean that she's in a strong position, but perhaps just in a position to carry on for a bit longer. So she'll be sitting there in the Commons, we assume, next to her Chancellor as he shreds what's left of the economic plans that she set out.
All right, thanks, Tamara. Well, let's bring in our business correspondent, Paul Kelso. He's on the trading floor. IG Group this morning. Paul, obviously gilt yields moving in the direction the Chancellor would want to this morning so far. Not as big a move as one might have thought, though.
No, perhaps a stay of execution more than anything else. I have to say, when I arrived here this morning before markets opened, before dawn, and that Treasury announcement that Jeremy Hunt would be speaking today, some of the reaction was a bit of a rolling of eyes, a sense that this is just more U-turns coming. But the very fact that we're waiting for the Chancellor to say something looks like it's been enough for people to hold fire for now on that sell-off, which began during Liz Truss's speech on Friday. The close of markets on Friday nipped it in the bud, but there was a genuine fear, as Ed was explaining, that was going to roll on into today. But we now wait and see what Mr Hunt says and how the response will be. But there has been, across 10, 20 and 30-year gilts, there has been some downward movement, which I suspect if you were sitting a little way away from here at the Bank of England and in the Treasury, you would probably have taken. There's an interesting element to this beyond the short-term message of confidence it sends, or confidence or not, as it may turn out, in the UK's plans and the new Chancellor's plans, is also what it might do to some of the sums that are being done in the Treasury and at the OBR, because, of course, the cost of UK government borrowing has an impact on what package of measures the Chancellor will eventually be able to come forward with and what will look credible. The UK sitting on £2.4 trillion worth of debt servicing. That is more expensive. Gilt yields are higher, and if debt is more expensive, and of course there's new borrowing, which is the undoing perhaps of Liz Truss's plans, any extra borrowing required, that will be cheaper if a lid can be kept on the cost of borrowing, let alone the real world impact, which perhaps matters more than anything to viewers, with what it might be doing to mortgages. So what we're seeing in the minute by minute movements in markets here, and for now there is a holding fire until we hear from the Chancellor at 11 o'clock and again in the Commons at 3:30. But there's also the impact on what we'll see perhaps in a fortnight from the OBR and from the Treasury and from the Chancellor when he finally puts forward this misnamed, if ever there was one, mini budget on the 31st of October. Those calculations are going to be changing, one wonders, perhaps almost by the hour, depending on what the markets do in rooms like this across the city.
OK, thanks, Paul. Well, joining me now is Dan Kemp. He's Global Chief Investment Officer at Morningstar Investment Management. Dan, welcome to you. I mean, gilts have rallied this morning. What do you think the market needs to hear from the Chancellor?
Well, good morning, Ian. What markets always want to hear is something that will invoke stability. We've been hearing that word a lot over the last few weeks, and certainly it's a lack of stability which is spooking markets. People hate surprises. Surprises lead to people reacting strongly, and that can lead to wild market prices we've seen, and that then prompts another reaction. So there's this sort of chain reaction that can lead people to make very bad decisions. And so what everyone's looking for is stability, calm, that will allow people to lift their eyes from the minute by minute of the changes that we're seeing and really focus on the long term, which is where investors should always have their focus, not be bogged down in what's happening moment by moment in politics or in economics, or even in the city. Investment is all about the long term.
Obviously, this whole episode has put a spotlight on liability-driven investing, this strategy used by some pension funds. But there are other elements of tension out there. I mean, one of them is some of these property funds that are out there. I mean, are these vehicles really appropriate for retail investors, do you think?
Well, it's really difficult because it's all about liquidity. So both with liability-driven investing, where pension schemes are trying to match their liabilities to pensioners, which are in the long term, in the future, and their asset base, which is obviously current, there are liquidity mismatches there in terms of the assets that they own versus their liabilities. The same thing happens in open-ended property funds. And without getting too technical, of course, a property, unlike a company, you can't sell it in bits. You typically have to sell it as a whole, but people own them in bits. People own shares or units in property funds. And so you have this liquidity mismatch. So people want to be able to buy and sell on a daily basis, but people can't buy and sell property on a daily basis. The market doesn't work like that. And so periodically, these liquidity mismatches are revealed, and that can panic people, lead them to worry, sell out in the short term, and crystallize losses. And so whether it's suitable or not, and the FCA has done a lot of work on trying to make these vehicles more suitable for clients, as have the fund managers. But whether it's suitable or not, really in the eyes of the financial advisor that's advising them and the end investor. But certainly if you have a vehicle where there's a mismatch between when you think you might get the money out and when it's available in the fund, that can cause problems. But of course, those problems are exacerbated by people panicking and selling. It's always a problem when you mix emotions with tight liquidity or liquidity mismatches. That's when you have people make the really big mistakes.
Dan, obviously the equity market has been a bit of a sideshow in recent weeks to the currency markets and the gilt markets. But in dollar terms, the FTSE 100 is actually down far more sharply than appearances would otherwise suggest. Are you surprised there haven't been more US takeover bidders for UK companies?
Well, it takes a while to organise a takeover, and the UK has been cheap for a while now. The equity market has been cheap relative to other markets in the UK, and of course, with this extra fall in the currency, then UK assets are really quite cheap. So companies have tried to do takeovers. I'm sure more companies will be trying, but of course, we're seeing challenges to businesses around the world as demand is slackened in different places, as equity prices have come down. And so people are likely to be fairly distracted and may not be thinking about takeovers and needing to borrow right now. But nevertheless, if you're an investor, if you're able to focus on the long term, the UK looks great value. Whether you're a UK investor or more importantly, if you're an investor overseas where you have that benefit of the currency and lower equity prices. And so this is the time when investing feels the scariest, but it's often the time where you can pick up the best long-term opportunities.
All right, Dan Kemp, good to talk to you this morning. Thank you. Well, the EY Item Club, which is one of the UK's most influential economic forecasters, has this morning predicted that Britain will be in recession until next summer. Joining me now is Martin Beck, he's Chief Economic Advisor to the EY Item Club. Martin, welcome to you. I know you had to tweak your forecast on Friday afternoon after the government's U-turn on corporation tax. You may be having to do so again in a few hours' time.
I think recent events show the perils of trying to produce any forecast at the moment. I think that's right. We're seeing a favourable market reaction to the U-turn the government has announced and is predicted to announce in the next hour or so. I think it's likely now that the Bank of England probably won't have to raise interest rates as aggressively as many were expecting only a week or so ago. I guess on the downside, the recent developments do mean that taxes will now be higher than we were expecting, and that's not necessarily a great thing for an economy that could well be in recession in a couple of months. Typically, you'd expect fiscal policy to loosen in response to a recession with tax cuts and increases in public spending, but we may well get the reverse of that over the next few months now.
Absolutely. Now, you're predicting a recession over the next 3 quarters. It is quite a shallow one that you're predicting.
It is. I think the economy, despite all the doom and gloom, there's still some positives we can point to. Probably the most important is a cap on energy bills, which came into effect this month, and that will avoid what could have been a disastrous rise in bills over the winter and the spring of next year. It's also the case the labour market's in pretty good shape in some respects. We've got unemployment at a 50-year low, and households' financial positions are actually quite strong. Households overall saved a lot of money during the pandemic, and those savings should provide some kind of buffer against the impact of higher inflation and higher interest rates.
Nonetheless, you're predicting that the economy will contract by 0.3% next year, 2023. The IMF last week had the UK growing at 0.3% next year. What do you know that they don't?
I think my impression of the IMF forecast is that it was produced a couple of weeks earlier, so they didn't reflect the big rise in interest rates that we've seen over the last few weeks. And again, this shows the perils of forecasting at the moment. Things are changing so quickly that a forecast can become out of date within days. And I think that's something to bear in mind when the OBR numbers come out at the end of this month. I think a lot of people will take those numbers as a gospel truth, but we should bear in mind that events are moving so rapidly that a forecast can be outdated very quickly.
Yeah, very good point you make. Crucially, though, the key point for me from what you said today is that you're expecting bank rate to peak at a significantly lower level than the markets are right now.
That's right. We think bank rate will peak at around 4%. I think the market expectation at the moment is 5.5%. One thing to bear in mind is certainly in our view, inflation is going to come down very quickly next year. You've had the recent big falls in commodity prices. You've had a collapse in shipping costs. You've got probably most of the advanced world going into recession in the near future, and all those factors are going to push down on inflation. And I think by next spring, it will become pretty clear that the Bank of England doesn't have to raise rates as aggressively as many are currently expecting. The bank wants to get inflation back to 2%. It doesn't want to drive inflation down to zero or into negative territory, which raising rates too aggressively could bring about.
What are the risks to your forecast?
I think energy prices is still the big risk. The good news recently is that certainly if you look at wholesale gas prices, they've fallen very significantly since the peak in August. But this all depends on what happens in energy markets and what happens with the war in Ukraine, and both of those things are impossible to forecast at all. So I think energy prices are still the big risk around any economic forecast at the moment.
Now, obviously, business investment is a major driver of GDP. Now that corporation tax is going up from 19 to 25%, I mean, where do you see business investment next year?
I think the picture's pretty grim there. I mean, the one upside was that the tax environment was going to become more favourable for business investment with the cutting corporation tax. Now that that's not happening, that's going to just add to all the headwinds facing investment, whether that's from weak consumer demand, the rising price of capital goods like machinery, a very poor global outlook. I think business investment will continue to trail behind the wider economy in terms of the recovery or the depth of the downturn we're now facing.
And obviously, it's an incredibly tight labour market right now. I mean, that is another inflationary input for businesses, and large and small. I mean, did you see any glimmers of hope on that front?
I don't know if you call it a glimmer of hope, but we are expecting the unemployment rate to rise, reflecting a weaker economy, and that should loosen up the labour market a little and probably put some downward pressure on wages. So I guess that's another factor which, it's not good news in itself, but it should give the Bank of England more cause not to raise interest rates too aggressively. And as the economy recovers and the unemployment rate drops back, it will give the economy a bit of scope to absorb some slack and grow a bit faster once we get out of this current troubled period.
All right, Martin, we've got to leave it there. Great to catch up with you this morning. Thank you. We're coming up after the break. We'll look in detail at how global markets are performing this Monday morning. Don't go anywhere.
Look at that sheet of flame, and it's moving this way.
And over there is Dover.
We track the changes happening to our world right now.
I think it's a procession of the Taliban. There they are, right here.
Would you, as Prime Minister, be able to look them in the face?
Let's have a look at both of those two things.
I just want to say thank you for having the courage to speak to us.
We do genuinely believe in what we do, to show the truth.
I thought there was an astonishing story there.
I'm Becky Johnson, a Sky News correspondent, part of the team based here in the Midlands. Allegations of exploitation in Leicester's clothing factories aren't new. In fact, it's been an open secret in this city for years. Made for people who want clarity in an uncertain world.
We're getting more and more stabbings, and essentially I think it's more and more younger children. As a team, we're not really surprised by anything these days.
So there's reports of a male who's been stabbed repeatedly in the leg.
Here in the diverse industrial heart of England, we hear from people who have real stories to tell.
Parents are going to complain like this, and schools had better get ready for it.
These protests are being organised primarily by people who aren't parents at the school.
So some patients aren't going to survive this.
We have to be prepared that patients will die from this illness.
Staff here are currently identifying wards that could be turned into areas where patients with COVID-19 could be isolated. The River Severn is still rising, and people here in Ironbridge have been told it could go up by another metre before it starts to go back down.
It's going to be a long, slow process of putting it back together again.
We aim to be the best and most trusted place for news.
So I was saying earlier in the programme, gilts, UK government bonds have responded favourably to news that the new Chancellor is to announce tax and spending measures earlier than scheduled. The yield, which moves, of course, in the opposite direction to the price, has fallen across most gilt maturities this morning. I think we can show you the 30-year gilt. No, we haven't. Well, I can tell you it is around 30 or so basis points below where it was on Friday evening. So reasonably positive news there. Sterling also responding relatively positively to the news so far. The pound up nearly the best part of 1% now against the US dollar. It's up around 0.75% against the euro. Meanwhile, the euro is ahead by 0.25% right now against the greenback. On the equity markets, well, after the sell-off on Wall Street on Friday evening, there was mixed trade overnight in the Asia-Pacific region. There were declines in Tokyo and in Sydney, but gains in Shanghai, Hong Kong and in Mumbai. Well, stocks in Europe this morning have likewise been mixed, or they were. They're all in positive territory right now. Look at that. The IBEX in Madrid holding up the yellow leadership jersey there this morning. That's up the best part of 1%. The DAX in Germany and the CAC 40 in France up a third of 1% apiece. Well, here in London, the FTSE 100 is also in positive territory, currently some 29 points to the good, up 2/5 of 1%. There aren't that many specific stories this morning for traders to hang their hats on, though. The biggest faller in the FTSE 100 right now is Hargreaves Lansdown. The share's off by some 7.5%. That is on a trading update. And also the company has announced that Chris Hill, he's the chief executive. We had him on the programme a few weeks ago, you might recall, where he is going to be stepping down next year. Outside the FTSE 100, ITV shares up very strongly there, up 8.25% right now. That is on a report over the weekend that it may sell a stake in its production arm, ITV Studios. On the downside, the online fashion retailer ASOS, the shares off 11.25% right now, and that is on confirmation of a story broken by Sky Smart Climate over the weekend that it's in talks with its lenders to amend the terms of its borrowing facility. As for the oil price, haven't talked about that much a great deal lately. It fell sharply on Friday, it rallied earlier on today, and it's currently more or less unchanged right now. Barrel of Brent crude currently will set you back $91.53 a barrel. That is down by just over 0.1%. Well, joining me now is Russ Mould. He's investment director at AJ Bell. Russ, welcome to you. Fairly benign response so far from Gilts and Sterling to this news on Jeremy Hunt. What does he have to do to seal the deal, in your view?
Well, I think when we hear him from at 11 o'clock and then this afternoon in the Commons, we'll be looking for some more details and some firm numbers, some properly baked data rather than the half-baked stuff to which we've been treated over the past month. And after that, it will be all eyes on the 31st of October and what the OBR, the Office for Budget Responsibility, has got to say in terms of the credibility of the figures, but in terms of what Mr. Hunt's looking at this morning, share prices up, currency up, bond yields down. I think that's the hat trick that I'd be pretty happy to take credit for, at least in the short term. We've now got to get past 31 October. Then you've got the medium term challenge of inflation, recession. How does he navigate those? And then further down the road, you've got the biggest challenges of all, a weak currency, because we spend more than we earn and we buy more than we sell, and a monster £2.4 trillion national debt. And all of those numbers are ones that ultimately would embarrass a banana republic.
They would indeed, Russ. I got into trouble for using that phrase on Friday. I hope you don't. One thing that struck me about the Treasury statement this morning that I thought was fascinating was that they made very clear that the Chancellor has already briefed Andrew Bailey at the Bank of England and Sir Bob Stayman, who is the head of the Debt Management Office. I mean, we learned last week that Kwasi Kwarteng didn't brief the bank before his mini-budget 3 weeks ago. So, I mean, this is quite an interesting change of tack, isn't it?
It is. I mean, one of the things that I think concerned markets on the 23rd of September, or certainly added to the confusion, was the Bank of England raised rates probably by less than markets had expected on the 22nd, but it was still tightening monetary policy nevertheless. And then the day after, Mr. Kwarteng, the then Chancellor, stood up and substantially loosened fiscal policy. So you had policy pulling in opposite directions. I think it's therefore, again, encouraging that the Treasury and the Bank of England are back actively talking to each other. And Mr. Hunt knows that if he makes a misstep, then the Bank of England will be potentially again called in to try and do something about it.
Obviously, all eyes on the gilt market and sterling right now, Russ, but worth pointing out with equities, it's a big week in the US for company trading updates, and that's really going to set the tone more generally, isn't it?
It is, and analysts have been quietly cutting their numbers over the past 3 or 4 weeks. If you look at research from Standard & Poor's, I mean, it's uncanny. If you look at the S&P research, on average over the last decade, American firms have beaten expectations 70% of the time. So you could say perhaps that, yes, they've had an economic tailwind, but also they're pretty good at managing expectations as well. And I'm sure there's been some careful drip feeding of expectations to make sure that they can beat the bar. I think what's going to be more important is the outlook statement for the fourth quarter, if management feel confident enough to give them. Most of the statements we've had recently, Nike, Micron, Applied Materials, Advanced Micro Devices, they've all, generally speaking, been cutting their guidance, citing a slower economy, uncertainty, higher debt costs, and in many cases, a bit of an inventory pile-up. So that all of those things would suggest, on balance, it's going to be pretty tough for firms to surprise on the upside, unless, of course, they've set a suitably low bar again.
Russ, we obviously got the US inflation numbers out last week, which suggested that inflation is more entrenched in the US than was previously thought. Are there any takeaways here for the bank? I mean, most people are expecting inflation in this country to peak this month.
Yeah, we'd like to think so, 9.9%. I guess the challenge that the Bank of England still got is that, and that's on the Consumer Price Index, which only came in 1997. We've only got the history back to 1989. So we haven't got the length of data we have in the US, but on the Retail Price Index, not an officially recognised statistic now, I accept, inflation's 12.3%. The last time we were that high on that benchmark, the Bank of England base rate was 12%. We're currently at 2.25%. So you can argue that even if the Bank of England does see a bit of relief from energy prices and price caps and things, it may still have quite a lot of work to do to thoroughly reassure that it's on top of inflation, having been really caught out with its transitory story that didn't pan out as expected last year.
All right, Russ, got to leave it there. Busy day for you, I know. Do appreciate you joining me today. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Well, coming up after the break, we'll continue to look ahead to the Chancellor's statement with Archie Nachiappan. She's the economics correspondent for The Times. Don't go away.
Are you drinking my fridge? No. Lots of milk, loads of chocolate flavour. Fridge, feel the urge.
PR Interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories. Welcome to Gabby Dave Global. We are a UK-based online e-commerce store, the first of its kind with license to trade in African products. Some of the products are clothing brands and all beauty accessories, hair and beauty brands, natural aphrodisiacs, processed and dried unprocessed food. Our mission at Gabby Dave is to connect African and Caribbean businesses to customers globally. At Gabby Dave, we ensure our sellers get the best deal for their products. We are not just here to help you reach a wider audience. We are also a distribution center to support business growth by fulfilling orders to your customers from our warehouse, making sure customers receive their products on time. We are inviting all Black-owned businesses to trade on our platform because we strongly believe Africans have a unique brand the customer would appreciate globally. So get in touch today and let us make your product and business go far. Here are some of the benefits of using Gabby Dave Global. User-friendly platform, track your shipment, online support, transparent process, multiple SKUs, multiple products, a platform that encourages manufacturers as well as traders. Our marketing and PR interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe.
Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clemens, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
check me out.
He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness.
So what did that
myself and the world will adjust. And 2019,
forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and the Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio. This is
UK.
Starr Radio
UK.
This is Starr Radio
UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Let me say welcome once again, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you are across the globe. And those of you on other planets as well, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude for you joining us on Earth as well. If you are there, hello. All right then. Welcome to the Monday edition of the morning show. Today is the 17th day of October, the year 2022. How many months more for the Christmas? Let me say, how many days more for the Christmas? And again, the other question is, how many days more for the Nigerian election and everything that is going on across the globe? I want to salute each and every one of you and once again say welcome to the program. Let me say good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Olayomi, HRH in the Pallien, who's going to be in the house as well. Salute each and every one of you. My colleague, Mr. Frank Davis, who is out on a mission this morning. Massive good morning to you, Frank. And to all the other presenters on Starr Radio UK. KB, I hope you are doing very well. BB, good morning to you. Playing in the background, something from Edith Morrison. Says God is good, Nyamiye. Okie Let me say special good morning to Alonje Sayi. He says, good morning, Mr. Archie. You are always on point. Okay, good up. Thank you very, very much, Alonje. I hope you are doing very well, and I thank God Nigeria didn't happen to you. Alright then. So share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages wherever you might be. Of course, it is Starr Radio UK. Yes, for those of you who have tuned in for the first time to listen to us on the Starr Radio UK morning show, this is how the program goes on a Monday. Yes, I'm going to bring you straight on the quote for the day, the weather forecast, and the travel updates following suit. We move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Then after that, we'll continue and we will be going to Nigeria with updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi from our North London studios. Then after that, we'll continue from there. The program takes us to 11:30, where we'll be continuing with some of the other discussions across the globe, looking at some of the other stories. Then at 12 o'clock, the lines are open for you to add your voice to the discussions. 12:30, the first part of the program is brought to an end, and we take you to Cyprus, where our own lady, HRH Linda Pallien, is to bring you Career 101. Then after that conversation, the curtains are brought down for the end of the program. So in a gist, that's what's going to happen. But do me a massive favor, share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Playing in the background, once again, as I said, Edith Morrison. God is good. Oh, Alonji, thank God. He said, I thank God Nigeria didn't happen to me. Oh, I like that. And we pray that Nigeria never happens to you, my brother. All right then, so let's crack on. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones. Now, the quote for the day says, your level of success will be determined by the problems you are willing to solve for others. Are you somebody who is trying to serve others, or is your own parochial interest, as we see in most of African countries, where the leadership, me, myself, my family, and my dogs, and every other person can go to wherever? May not be said of you. Now let's move on straight to the weather front. It's been quite a mixture of sunny spells, sunshine, cloud, a bit of rain here. But what is happening in your area? For London and the southeast of England, this afternoon will be largely dry with sunny spells. Developing sunshine will turn rather hazy at times, with areas of high cloud moving in. Gentle to moderate winds are expected as well. It's going to be feeling mild. And then tonight is expected to be dry with mostly clear skies as high pressure moves over the area. Some cloud may edge in from the south towards dawn. A chillier night with light winds expected though. Now top temperature is going to be 19 degrees, the lower is going to be 8 degrees. UV level low, pollution low, sunset 18:04 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 07:27 hours. So coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me take you straight to the travels. It is the morning show.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, I'll keep you navigated. I promise I'm born at the Starr Radio Travel Update Country where every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:49. My goodness. See how time flies. Alright then, so let's crack on. Straight on the underground this morning, I can tell you shortly, no problems there. Good service throughout London Overground, DLR, and London Tramway. Good service there as well. Now moving on to the major routes in London, there we have a bit of a problem. A4 Central London Red routes and South Circular A205 have all got closures. A12, A3, North Circular A406 have all got serious delays. If you can avoid them, do your best to avoid them. If not, if you are stagnant there, continue to listen to us. Because as and when there are any changes, we'll bring it to the fore. On the river by this morning, I can tell you shortly, apart from the Woolwich Ferry that's got special service, all the others have got, you know what, good service. And let's move on straight to the London Cable Car, good service there as well. Now to the final segment of the travel update for you, that is the National Rail. This what's happening on the National Rail this morning. Now Avanti West Coast has got reduced timetable, and which is causing a bit of disruption there. And then East Midlands Railway, industrial action is taking place, and therefore that's also affected travels. Now Gatwick Express have got minor delays. Now Greater Anglia, minor delays. London North Western Railway, minor delays. Great West South Western Railway, minor delays there as well. Southern Rail, minor delays. And then Thames Link has also got minor delays. First Trans-Pennine Express has got amended timetable, so check before you leave. But on that note, let me say once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what, continue to keep those eyes on the road.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and it's now time for Global Trotting, the news that is making the rounds across the globe this morning. Now, when it comes to some of the stories that we're going to be looking at in Nigeria, Peter Obi's camp react to articles anti-Yoruba Igbo comment. I'll be bringing you more on that front. Well, the right leader Peter Obi is one that seemed to say that, look, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to maybe have a referendum or something. Is this somebody who is in favor of what is happening in the Yoruba and the Igbo tribe? Okay, we'll be looking more into that. Kwankwaso snubs Arewa presidential dialogue. We'll be bringing you more on that front as well. And then Ozidima afraid of Kano's release. Ihedira is saying why Governor Ozidima is afraid of Kano's release. Is that why they're saying that they're still going to be holding him? Oil theft. Falana calls for Irabo sack over destruction of vessel. Well, we didn't talk about that. Is it that because maybe that vessel, maybe one of them owns it, and definitely somebody in there, and therefore is like, why have you done that? It's millions of dollars worth of a vessel that you've destroyed. Now, flat 603 Nigerians killed. 2.5 million affected so far. 2.5 million affected so far. We're talking about that in a moment. In Mayday report, Agora policy calls for end to fuel subsidy and bold economic reforms as well. The PDP dismisses allegation of ethnic politics against Atiku. Well, we'll be bringing you more on that front. But will the election hold or not? There's a song in the in Christendom that says, will your anchor hold in the storms of life? But do you think it's going to hold? Well. So our story is making the rounds. And on the African continent, well, interestingly, 2022 Youth Connect Africa Summits end in Rwanda with calls to invest in the youth. Our nations, our leadership actually interested in investing in the youth. well. And World Food Day, Somalia could face acute food insecurity. It's one of the stories making the rounds. And Angolan president gives first National Assembly speech. And those are some of the stories making the round. Protesters march through, okay, and that's not the one that I wanted to bring about, but those are some of the stories making the rounds on the African continent as well. AU renews calls for truce, peace talks. Rebels vow to respect ceasefire. But will the Ethiopian government agree to that? We'll be looking into that as well. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, God, I'm saying mock Akufo-Addo as they mine gold in the night and say, well, you know what? We are going to be continuing to do so. Well, but the president is vowing that he's going to make sure that for his legacy's sake, he will be dealing with the galamsey, that is illegal mining. But others are saying, oh, Buada, you lie bad. Okay, but we'll be saying that if you say they should stop that, what do you expect them to do? What are they going to be living on? Now, the Asante Healing has gone on to say, you know what? We believe every chief whose area is being, this galamsey is going on, mining is going on there, is somehow complicit in it. Is either they're benefiting from it or they are. So what is different from that statement that they made as per what one NDC it wasn't an NDC guy, one other what's the name? I'll try to get a name of this man who also went to make a statement like that on an interview in one of the Central Regional TV station, and the station was taken off air and people were agitating that he has called some of the chiefs, he had made a statement that some of the chiefs were involved in, or it seemed to be involved in the galamsey issue that is going on. What is different from that? We'll be looking more into that. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Even if you seize our machines, we will use our hands. Galamsey night workers mock Akufo-Addo. Well, as I did say, now Galamsey Queen arrested by the chiefs, DC allegedly trying to set her free. Who is that? We'll be telling you more about that as the program goes on. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. In other parts of the world, well, I'm going to tell you what is happening here in the UK. All the uncertainties. Last Friday, before we were leaving the program, there was that information coming through that the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the former Chancellor, that is Kwesi Kwarteng, was going to be fired. Well, it did happen. Then after that, the market started tumbling down like no man's business. But well, with the appointment of the new Chancellor of the Exchequer, who seems to be the one actually moving things, Jeremy Hunt seems to be giving a bit of confidence to the market. Now, do you think he's going to be doing anything special? We're going to be telling you more about that. He's going to be making a statement this morning and then this afternoon in Parliament as well. But we're bringing you more on that front. Protesters beaten up at China's Manchester consulate. Clashes broke out after unidentified men attacked placards at a Hong Kong pro-democracy protest. So who are doing that? Well, there's some Chinese people, our pro-government, Chinese government people who have infiltrated or have come into the country who were pursuing that agenda. We'll be bringing you more on that front. In other parts of the world, Kyiv attacked by kamikaze drones. That's what the UK government seems to be saying. Some of the reports that is coming through there as well. Al Jazeera staff says bullying and harassment went unchecked. And Japan's Prime Minister ordered probe into church after Abe killing. We'll be looking into that. And India inquiry after men crash women's college event. And Russian drones and missiles attack across the Ukraine, my apologies, not the UK. Fresh trouble hits Atiku over anti-Yoruba Igbo comment, and as I said, this is a lot more going to be coming your way. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with you. We'll be having this online. But Yoruba Ogo Adulawo TV says, good morning, Mr. Koiki and Starr Radio UK. And we say good morning to you all at Yoruba Ogo Adulawo TV. All right then, so let's take a musical break. We come back and we continue with the show. Okay, this around uninterrupted from Edith Morrison. He says, you are God. All right then, enjoy, and I'll be with you in a moment. get something from Edith Morrison. He said, God is good, God is good, God is good. As a Christendom normally say, God is good, and they say all the time. Let me say good morning to Pallien Olatin Day. Pallien says, good morning, Yoruba Nation now. Yoruba Nation now. Okay then. All right then. So, let me say morning to Felix as well, all the way in Aberdeen, Mr. Kofi Ali Abdul Yakin. Hey, Dr. Martin, I hope you are doing very, very well. And one of my long lost friends, yes, Mr. I've forgotten the name again. Oh gosh. I think I need a cup of coffee after all that very busy weekend. Yes, Brett Yuba. I wanted to mention his botanical name. Well, Bretiba, good morning to you. I hope you are doing very, very well. But as we say, from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar, if the story is making the lines, we're going to be touching on that. We know that the Chancellor of the Exchequer will be making a presentation this morning. I'll be monitoring it very, very closely, and as and when we have it, promise you one thing for sure. Though we might be having discussions and updates from Nigeria during that course, or maybe after, but whatever it is, we'll make sure we bring you the full length of that statement that is going to be making. Because Starr Radio UK, we are here to serve you. Serve you with everything. Good morning, everyone in the house. And how was your weekend? Our weekend was good. I hope that you had a very good weekend, and Nigeria didn't happen to you, because for you to be here this morning, I know for sure Nigeria has not happened to you. So thank you very much for joining us. But to every one of our listeners, continue to share the broadcast. Let's take a quick break. We come back and I'll be bringing you Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Stay tuned and don't you go away.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 7 minutes past the top of the hour. That means 7 minutes past 11. Add or subtract, and that will be the time in your area. Maybe a couple of hours, maybe 5 hours, like my listeners in the US at the moment, and those of you in Florida and all those places. I say massive good morning. Yes, Pallien says Starr Radio is a voice of the people. Yes, we are the people's radio station. So wherever you are, you want to make your voice heard, yes, get in touch with us and we'll do so for you. But this juncture, it's my singular honor to introduce the White Lion itself, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Yami, good morning.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers. Good evening in those in Japan, which is just 5 minutes past 7 p.m. Good morning to those in New York. It's just 5 minutes past 6 a.m. In Toronto, it's 5 minutes past 6 a.m. But in Nigeria, it's almost the same time. with us here in UK. So I say good morning. It's 7 minutes past 11 a.m.
Yes, listeners, welcome to the Monday edition of the morning show. And let me acknowledge Prince Adewale Aded Digba. It says Yoruba Nation, good morning to you all. Continue to share the broadcast with us. Yes, Yomi, how was your weekend and how is the family?
The family are very fine. We spent a very beautiful weekend because I was actually off the social media over the weekend, but I was at the vaccine, as usual, monitoring, the filtering news, the update from around the world, the Paris, the protests going on in Paris, the prison break, not prison break, the prison fire in Iran.
Yeah.
Not sure, so quite a lot is actually going on around the world. But the most important thing is having to spend time with your loved one. There's nothing more powerful than that. So the weekend was fantastic. Everybody's gone to school as usual, but we are still back here, to do what we love to do. Telling our people what is going on around the world when it comes to the news coming out of Nigeria, because Nigeria is a country that has a lot of stakeholders. And the stakeholders means that they want to know whether there's the instability. But I was listening to you before coming on air, and I am not sure whether it is a Photoshop, whether you can verify that. But what I saw was the Chancellor going with out of the number 11, which is just the next door to number 10, with a Ghana must go.
It's a Photoshop. He wasn't using a Ghana. Interesting. We have all our what we call the IT gurus who continue to do all this stuff. But well, I think Nigeria did happen to the Chancellor of the Exchequer, which I think is also biting us as well. And he says, Mr. Koiku, good morning, sir. I always feel happy anytime I see you online. Right on, bro. That's what Alonji is saying. And Prince, I don't want to say is, thanks, bro. Good afternoon here. We are grateful to God for your lives as well. But before we go on, there were a few rallies that were taking place on Friday whilst we were on and afterwards. Can you give us a bit of what happened? Were there any clashes? Did everything go smoothly? Because we want to know how our people are faring at the moment. Yes, Yomi.
Well, the rally went ahead, two places precisely on Saturday, and I saw the Biafra on Sunday yesterday. They actually took theirs to Liverpool game where Liverpool was playing. I'm not sure who they were playing with, but I was more focused about those that traveled in convoy to Liverpool again, just to to put a message out there to the British people, the kind British people of the rule of law in Nigeria, especially holding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, even though it's now almost 3 days now that the court have acquitted and discharged him, but the DSS is still not adamant to allow him to go. We'll be discussing that. But back home in the Yoruba territory in the southwest of Nigeria today, there were a couple of rallies. One was held in Ibadan and one was held in Mekong. The Mekong one went very successful until towards the end of the rally, there was a bit of what we can call some clashes. And what we can tell is that was actually by someone that was actually trying to destabilize a peaceful gathering that is allowed under Article 3 of the self-determination across the world, whether it is the United Nations law or the African Union, or even the right to any political status of yours in Nigeria under the 1999 fraudulent constitution. We actually find out that it was not just an individual, he's known to the community, but he tried to disrupt. 3 people got injured. They're quietly taking treatment at the hospital as we speak right now. But apart from that, some of the leaders have actually intervened as quickly as possible. I was in a phone call with them, and they'll be traveling back to that community to try to resolve the situation. But apart from that, it was all about the engagement, the meeting over the weekend, with different groups. The political part is also ongoing in Nigeria. As we always say, there are still millions of Nigerians that believe that Nigeria can still be revived.
Can Nigeria be revived? That's a big question. Pero, let me say good morning to you as well. And I feel like Yan says that, well, that's Nigeria for you. All right then. Now, let's come to one issue that Thursday to Friday was going on that pertains to Nnamdi Kanu's case, where he was said to have been acquitted or charges were supposed to have been dropped by the appeals court. Now, we thought that by this time he would have been a freed man, but information coming through saying the lawyers of Nnamdi Kanu were telling Malami, yeah, to resign because appeal court verdict, resign now. IPOB lawyer tells Malami. What has become of that? I mean, what exactly is going on? They said, well, they think that they still got some case against Nnamdi Kanu for he fleeing the country when he was being pursued by the intelligence. Yes, Yomi.
Well, Nnamdi Kanu was almost assassinated in 2017, September, in his hometown, and about quite a number of innocent people were killed. Even his dog was not left behind, and that is the charges that they are trying to put on Nnamdi Kanu, even though the military are not telling us the reason why they took a python dance to his hometown that eventually was lost of life, and eventually Nnamdi Kanu escaped that. And since then, he has been out of Nigeria, he has been out of the radar until the federal government probably got some intel, not sure how, but he was not given the room to be taken to a Kenya court for his own extradition back to Nigeria, which is the normal norm when it comes to the international law. And that was the reason why the Court of Appeal in Nigeria have actually come to say that that is not allowed. I mean, we're no longer living in that dark era, because the dark era was when in 1984 President Muhammadu Buhari, as we know now, was a military dictator that actually overthrown a civilian government and eventually wanted to kidnap Umaru Diko. He eventually was able to do so in the hands of the authorities of Kenya that are also as corrupt, because you would want to find out if a flight that is diplomatic is moving out, is there something in there that should not be going out of your country. Eventually, Nnamdi Kanu was rendition, kidnapped back to Nigeria, and we must really continue to stress that. And that is the argument under the international law. But what the federal government is doing now under the Attorney General of the Federation is to come up with more charges that we have already been aware of, because Nnamdi Kanu case is not a normal case. It's a very, very high-profile case based on who he is. He is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, asking the same thing, that they want a peaceful exit out of Nigeria because there's no fairness, there's no liberty, there's no justice. But as we speak right now, it is now what we can say that the lawyers representing Nnamdi Kanu are now saying that it seems the Attorney General of the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, SAN, to resign from his office. AGM4 asked Malami to quit office following the Justice Minister infamous reaction shortly after the Court of Appeal in Abuja Division judgment on Thursday. We are now Monday, so we are literally almost even 4 days away, which actually crushed all the 15 count charges that the federal government was filed against Nnamdi Kanu. There's been a lot of video that has now popped up. Buhari says he's not going to intervene in the system to allow the court to justice to take care of Nnamdi Kanu. The justice have now been served, but it seems the government is now very adamant allowing Nnamdi Kanu to walk free out of the DSS custody.
Is it that they want maybe to release him after the elections, because they think that if they release him, that is going to bring about lots of agitation from that side? Or do they think that they are going to keep him forever? What are they going to do there? Well, you want to learn more, continue to share your take with us on Star Radio UK. Now, interestingly, just still moving on from that story, because we have Nigerian military which has ransacked and destroyed, raided a particular Enugu community, saying that they are looking for IPOB camps. Now, these are the people who are, their leader has been said to have been cleared of all charges. That, look, he didn't do that, all the charges you are leveling against him. So what are they trying to just give a dog a bad name so that they can hang it? Is that what they're trying to play now?
Well, let's remember, that the federal government have always, in every way, try to pin the, the crisis, the ongoing unrest in the southeast of Nigeria today. That is what the IPOB have done, and they've actually turned the southeast ungovernable. Remember that every Monday is a sit at home. That is the only way I know that the IPOB have been civil disobedient. We've not seen them with ammunition, and I listened carefully again to Nnamdi Kanu video that he granted an interview, and he was asked the question whether he will go with in a war, and he actually said that is not something, the truth will prevail, and that is more than a powerful weapon. But what we've seen is the military continue domination in the southeast. Is the question whether they are looking for terrorists or they are looking for innocent Igbos or those that are Biafrans in the southeast. So military sack Enugu community in air raid, kill residents, burn houses under the guise of searching for IPOB camp, according to report. This is palatable tension in Enugu state, where we have a governor that is not saying anything, very, very partisan, as the Nigerian military in a joint operation with other security agency invaded Akwafu community in Ikunu East local government of the state, killing undisclosed number of people, burning houses in 21st century, and the community came under heavy bombardment as land and air troops stormed the community in search of some suspected secret camps of members of the indigenous people of Biafra. These are the tension that is currently being created, by the federal government, and we must continue to remind those that if that continue, it will become more problem. Once again, this is Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I will come back again to you now in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi in our North London studios bringing you updates from Nigeria. Let me acknowledge Abimbola, Prince Abimbola Oshode. He says, good morning, Mr. Archie and White Lion. Aziz, Brother Sarik says, good morning, Brother Koiki, and the rest of the team. To every one of you, I say massive good morning, and thank you very much for joining us as well. It is a Starr Radio UK Monday edition of the morning show, 19 minutes by the top of the hour. The time, updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi in our North London studios, and here in the South studios, I am Archie, and we are bringing you updates on the morning show. Now, let's quickly now move on to some statement that has been made. We have the presidential candidate for the PDP who is going to make a statement, and the presidential candidate for the People's Democratic.
I just screen off for just 10 seconds, and I come back.
Okay. Listen, just bear with us whilst we do so. Yes, let me bring you some of the that story, a bit of it. Okay, interesting times are in the UK, which I'm going to be bringing you though, but just stay tuned, don't you go away. PDP is dismissing an allegation of ethnic politics when it comes to Nigeria, and Peter Obi, in reaction to that, has also made a statement that we are going to be bringing your way. So that's why I was asking the question, do you think that Peter Obi will be a better candidate, a better person to run a country where he will give everybody the opportunity, or Nigerians the opportunity to also, everybody have a way of saying, well, we want to belong to, we don't want to belong to. What do you think about all that? We're going to be looking into that. But now let's go back to Mr. Olayomi in our North London studios to have a listen or a deep details of the stories pertaining to the statement that the Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has made. Yomi.
I've listened to what Atiku actually said over the weekend. He was in Katsina, I believe it was in Kaduna. Let's have a look at that. But there were statements, as you know, a lot of the politicians, have to now face, multiple cameras, and they'll probably, say a lot of things, whether intentionally or otherwise, But one thing is, whatever they say between now and then will go a long way. This is what actually Atiku said before we do a reaction conversation on that.
And I have traversed the whole of this country. I know the whole of this country. across this country. I think what the average northerner needs is somebody who is from the north and who also understands the other parts of Nigeria and who has been able to build bridges across the rest of the country. This is what the northerner needs. It doesn't need a Yoruba candidate or an Igbo candidate. This is what the northerner needs. So I believe I stand before you as a pan-Nigerian of northern origin. Thank you very much.
Well, that was, the presidential, aspirant presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party over the weekend, actually, saying that you had him there, we don't need a Yoruba candidate, we don't need an Igbo candidate, neither do we need any other person apart from somebody from the Northerners. That has actually created a lot of reaction depending on where you are looking at. And I can just go and tell you what people have been saying, since Atiku actually, said that over the weekend. It's been a lot of reaction. Let me first go to Arekano Wikankafo. And he says, and I quote, "I support what Atiku said yesterday. Atiku as a Fulani man understands self-preservation and Nigeria. They will cheat, kill, and loot the resources of other regions for the development of the North." Atiku is right. It is only fools in the Yoruba land that preaches one Nigeria. So you can tell that there's been a lot of tension when it comes to that statement. Now let's come to what reaction from that headline that you talked about, which says fresh trouble hit Atiku over anti-Yoruba and Igbo statement. And this is coming, as a lot of pressure. Atiku, who stated this during an interactive session with the Arewa Joint Committee in Kaduna on Saturday, told his audience not to support a Yoruba or Igbo candidate in reference to the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu, and his Labour Party counterpart, Peter Obi, that has now become more popular, whether on the social media or off the social media. This is what the Northern need. It doesn't need a Yoruba or Igbo candidate. I stand before you as a pan-Nigeria of the Northern region. According to him, he has said it so many times, he's married to a Yoruba woman, is married to an Igbo woman, and likewise is married to an Hausa woman as well. Whether that counts in this race is something that we have to talk about. But according to that statement, has attracted widespread condemnation from APC, the Labour Party, the New Nigerian People's Party. Not only that, the Afenifere, the Yoruba Social Cultural Group, the Apex Igbo Group, Onaize Indigo, and the civil society organization. This is happening against the backdrop of the crisis in the PDP, which has resulted in the withdrawal of 5 governors that had their meeting in London last week. There are suggestions that the former vice president, through this statement on Saturday, might have breached Section 97 of the Electoral Act. I'll come back to you again in the studio at exactly 11:26. Like they say, one of the artists, I can't remember which one, is getting hot in here.
Wow, it's getting hot in here.
I lost the audio again from your
my side. Okay, let's see. Can you hear me? Okay, listeners, just bear with us. Yomi will. Okay. Let's see whether he can hear me now. Whilst we try to get him back on. Yes, listeners, Starr Radio UK. Yes, we have him back on. Yes, Yomi, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay, good. We apologize for that. Some of this technical disruption there. But again, my apologies, listeners. Looking at the statement that he made before then, Ismail Hassan Akanji, good morning to you. We love you too, man. All right. Now, somebody will be saying that he is saying, like you were saying, he has a wife from the Yoruba he has a wife from the Igbo, he has a wife from the North. So he's the one who has managed to build bridges. So he's related to everybody in the country. So that's what the Northerners need. That not necessarily somebody who comes from the Yoruba group or from Igbo, where like Obi or the APC candidate Tinubu, who is saying that, well, these are the people from this particular part. So he just saying, look, I have relation with every corner of the. So somebody will say, what is wrong with that statement that he made?
Well, the statement, as you can tell there, is even now either it's allowed under the electoral rules. They're announcing that it must have breached the section 97 of the electoral act. The section stated a candidate, person, or association that engage in campaign or broadcasting based on religious, tribal, or sectional reason to promote or oppose a particular political party or the election of a particular candidate commit an offense under the act and is also liable on a conviction of a maximum fine of 1 million naira, imprisonment for a term of 12 months, or both. In that case of a political party, those who criticize Atiku on Saturday said, despite presenting himself as a pan-Nigerian candidate, the former vice president's previous action had aroused suspicions about his stance on critical national issues.
Well, I think I'm advising Peter Obi now. Peter Obi, go and get wife from the north, and then get another one from Yoruba, and then what do you call him? Tinubu, you better get a wife from what do you call them? Igbo, and then get one from the north if you have it, and then now it will make you a Pan-African, and then we can see how things pan out there. But well, listeners, it is Star Radio UK. Interesting times ahead. Well, now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds. It's now 11:29. Over to you, Yomi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Archie, and I say good morning once again to all our listeners from around the world. And let's take a look at what is happening. A lot of Nigerians are still facing abject poverty, due to so many things that has actually gone wrong in the country, for the last 2 decades of the democracy. How Nigeria can tackle revenue challenge is the think tank. I mean, how do you tackle revenue when a lot of our production is not going very well? Bad roads, electricity has dropped, and nothing seems to be really working. But an Abuja-based policy think tank, Agora Policy, on Monday recommended some measures that I believe might be good or probably have to be adopted by the federal government in tackling Nigerians' revenue challenge. In a report titled Option for Revamping Nigerians' Economy, the policy think tank group explained that revenue challenge remains one of the most critical policy issues of the federal government. The report also showed that the federal government tax revenue shrunk by 8.2% in 2011. Guess what? To 4.4 in 2009. That is almost out. The tax figure for the federal government is the lowest for the central government in Africa among Nigerians' peers. So that is how as coming as the headline, how to tackle revenue challenge. Let's talk more, because when it comes to business, that is how we know whether the country continue to function, in almost every part. Federal government moves special forex window for manufacturers. As at yesterday, the exchange rate is 830 naira to 1 naira. That means, more problem, for the naira across the country. The federal government has said it will begin step towards creating a separate special foreign exchange window for exporting manufacturers. The Minister of Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, dropped the in during the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria Export Promotion Group's annual general conference in Lagos last week, Thursday. The minister was reacting to a plea by the manufacturer asking the federal government to support the sector by allowing operators to access forex through a special window to be created. The reason why we do not have those forex is we are not creating anything. We are actually importing almost all our needs in a country with about 60% of youth, all well graduate, but nothing to do than waking up every morning and hopefully waiting, for God mercy to come on them. So the federal government, is saying that we might put maybe something around that. Let's take a look at what is trending on the politics that will take us straight, to some of the other headlines coming out of Nigeria this morning. Lai Mohammed not relevant in Kwara politics. Fagbemi, the APC chairman, Lai Mohammed, is the Nigerian Minister for Information, but in his own locality, it seems that they're already saying is not, relevant. That shows that more tension is coming as we speak right now. Let's take a look at the APC candidate wins Osun local government poll unopposed. Is coming from those as well. Nasarawa police caution political parties against electoral violence is the update coming from there. I will win. Don't travel. Tinubu tells El-Rufai. It seems that El-Rufai with Tinubu, is the conversation over the weekend as well. As during one of his presentation as well during the weekend, the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress in the 2023 general election, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, has expressed confidence in winning the presidential poll. The ex-governor of the Lagos State spoke again in Kaduna during the Economic and Investment Summit on Saturday. He also lauded the Kaduna State Governor Malam El-Rufai, noting that Nigeria needed a think tank like the governor. I'm not sure whether a lot of Nigerians agree to that. Now let's talk about more other headline, and then I'm going to slightly come back again to you in the studio. Make sure you follow us on Starr Radio UK on all our social media, on Twitter, Facebook. Not a very good news for the Labour Party, as gunmen has now kidnapped Labour Party Ebonyi senatorial candidate. Again, a very sad one there, as gunmen yesterday kidnapped the Labour Party senatorial candidate for Ebonyi South Zone, Linus Okore. It was gathered that Okore, who arrived in Abakaliki in Ebonyi state capital from Abuja on Saturday, was met with his supporters. Again, all part of Lokoja in Kogi state is literally under water, and the governor seems to be having weddings being thrown down in Abuja, while his state is under a lot of attention that is needed, especially from the international community, as more people have died even up to Anambra and the other areas. Just as we can continue to pray that those that have been affected will be taken care of as quickly as possible. I'm going to come to you now in the studio at exactly 11:34 a.m.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi bringing you updates from Nigeria. It has gone 11:35. Now, Akim Razaki, good morning to you there as well. Thank you for joining us as well, and thank you to all you guys on all the platforms that you are watching us on. Now, quickly, has there been any reactions from the various candidates pertaining to the verdict by the appeals court last Thursday pertaining to Mazi Nnamdi Kano's case? Have any of them made any statement at all?
Well, every single one of them have avoided that.
Wow. Now they're talking about the rule of law. Apart from Showore. Okay. Interesting. Listeners will be following it very, very closely, and we'll make sure that whatever it is, once we get information, we'll bring to you. Ismaila Jadi Suburu says, good morning, bro. Yoruba Nation now, no going back, of course, no going back there. All right then. Well, there was one other story that I wanted to pick on, and let me quickly see whether I can get that, and that pertains to the ASU. Yes, what has happened? Have they gone back to the class to lectures today?
Well, we're still waiting, as ASU will be having an emergency meeting, on the resumption, because there's still some of their members that are still aggrieved. Following the suspension of the strike by the Academic Staff Union of the university, findings reveal that public universities across the country have made plans for special meetings of the Senate councils in preparation for examination and resumption. I'm not sure how, we have a country where revenue, resources is in abundance across, from the north to the southeast, to the southwest, to the middle belt, but yet we are unable to take education as a top priority. 8 months, and every student have literally grown full-blown air or not doing anything. But hopefully we hope resumption will be announced and they can get back to school as quickly as possible. In a statement by the Union National President, Professor Emmanuel Osedeke, the union explained that it suspended the strike based on a court order, while noting that the government had yet again to meet to some of their demands. So even though the court is saying that they should go back to university, but their demands have not been met. So according to the findings, the university has set to hold a special meeting to deliberate on a new academic calendar instead of the one that was destabilized by the strike.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. One other story that also popped up that I wanted us to have a look at, that's pertaining to the oil theft. Now, Falana is calling for Irabos sack over the destruction of the vessel. You remember the oil theft issue that went on. Now, any reaction from that end as well?
Well, we know that over the weekend, more places have been found, when it comes to illegal tapping of crude oil that should again resources should help, the masses, but rather it is not helping anyone. Rather, it is helping those, in the corridor of power. So Falana, as so many other Nigerians, continue to demand a full and thorough investigation to how it can imagine that you can tap into a lifeline and then use that as your own forex, because what we are told, some of this crude oil are sold to neighboring countries, and then that means it continues to be a big business. Just as we thought it was over the weekend, more illegal pipeline has been found in the country Nigeria.
I think maybe I need to get one connected to Archie. That would be interesting. Well, listeners, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Yes, I know our time is fast spent there, but Pastor Emmanuel Chidi, let me say massive good morning to you. Now, when it comes to elections, how many days more, and do you think people are actually getting themselves ready for that elections, and what others are embracing your Yoruba identity and the importance? Well, over to you, Yomi.
Well, yes, as we prepare the social media and we go into what is happening, the Yoruba Global Youth present today embracing our Yoruba identity and the importance of Oriki. Oriki, I don't know whether you have that in Ghana or those watching us from South Africa. Is like I don't know how to put that in English. Maybe somebody might help us on the comment section. But it's like something that to talk about who you are. So that is going to be happening later on this afternoon at about 4 p.m. by the Yoruba Global Youth, where they'll be embracing our Yoruba identity, which is why reason why the self-determination are saying that our identity is not Nigeria, because Nigeria doesn't have a culture, in as much as Nigeria still has its own ways around the world. But the identity of the Yoruba is hidden away under Nigeria, and the importance of Oriki. So that is coming up later on tonight, this afternoon rather, at 4 p.m. and then we will continue the next line of the story before we start winding down. Once again, you're sending money home to your loved ones. The only way to use that is send waves. If you're doing it for the first time, why not take advantage of the £5 credit where you put the star and the radio, as that will also give you that. You can also follow us on our social media handle, but also the best way for that is go on www.starradiouk.com. You did ask how many more days on the time clock of Starr Radio as we monitor whether the election will be taking place. But the Yorubas, as of today, are saying that they will be bringing out their super rally to tell the world that they do not want to be part of Nigeria, likewise as the Biafra are also saying similar. But those that still believe that Nigeria can still change the situation, 116 days, 13 hours, 19 minutes, and the seconds keep dropping down before the 2023. So I'm going to go straight to the social media this morning, and the first one is coming from Ifa Funshaw at Funshaw Graphics. When the court ordered Nnamdi Kanu to be released in the prison, people started writing that they want to use Nnamdi Kanu against Peter Obi's ambition. But today, Monday, Nnamdi Kanu is yet to be free from prison. So that is coming from Ifa Funshaw right there, as more not much is trending, but I can say that it seems that the football has actually overshadowed, and I think Drake is trending. I know Drake is one of those in America. I believe he must have spent a lot of money and lost that during the betting that took place over the weekend. So let's look at what others are saying on our social media this morning before we finally wind down. Let's take a look at what Simon Ekpa is saying this morning. Today, sit at home in Woto Starr. How is the Biafra civil disobedient for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in your area today, being the 17th? it is all quiet as people have actually pulled out their mattress and from what I'm looking at here, and they are sitting on the high road where people are not coming out. Again, what is inducement? An act of a thing that is intended to make something happen or to persuade someone to do something. Cambridge Dictionary just updated this 5 days ago. How many of these criminals in IPOB has been induced with money or position to sabotage or betray us? And I think he has one more. The silence of Fani Kayode over Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is worrisome. Fani Kayode, were you part of the people? Question mark. Till now you are silent. Since after the kidnap of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I have been observing your body language. You almost succeeded in staying out of this mess. So let me drag you in it today. Remember Fani Kayode? It's people say caricature. He goes wherever he is. I remember he visited Chief Sunday Igboho, last year as well. Only for him now to have kept quiet since Chief Sunday Igboho was arrested. And there's a lot of Yorubas that are now saying this was exactly what his father did when he was also alive as a politician. He can only chop wherever he finds himself. So let's take a look at what is trending in Nigeria generally in just 30 seconds, and I can hand over back again to you in the studio. It is 17th of October, Starr Radio UK. Well, now Ferrati, with again, I believe when Peter Obi visited Oni of Ife in Ile-Ife with a very beautiful Yoruba hat, and it says, meet the next president of Nigeria. Also, one more, again, a very sad situation with the river that have actually become very, very unbearable. There is humanitarian crisis in Nigeria. People in River Bayelsa are dying and displaced. Villages have submerged in rivers and Bayelsa. Bayelsa State is almost cut off from the rest of the world. Please help us to retweet. Rino Oduala from the last 1 year. This is why we must work hard to ensure Nigeria works. A Nigeria where politicians, jobless brats, will mock the children of the taxpayers. A Nigeria where a common man can become great without the help of anybody. A Nigeria for all is possible. I'm not sure those with the self-determination will believe in that, because a Nigeria is nothing more than a cabal put together in 1914 and have actually submerged the identity of every indigenous people known as Nigeria today. Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, but on the Oriki issue that you did speak about or talk about, thank you very much. And Tons, AJ, thank you very much as well. You all reacted to it. Joseph K. He says poetry praise. Ricky means a poetry praise, something that it's a poetry, but to praise, make you proud of what you belong to. Tons, AJ says good morning, the big white lion, and Archie, and then Ricky is also it's a poem. And Joseph K says self-appraisal, something to cause you to be enthused, to be proud of what you are, and that is what Ricky means there. Thank you very much. We love you to bits, because we know that when we say that help us out, you come out to help us because you are part of the program, and we acknowledge that. Yomi, yes, before you go. Well, Archie will take you through the rest of the segment with everything that is going on around the world. I will be back again 11 o'clock tomorrow, and I say stay tuned to the finest African and radio station in London, where we take you around the world. For now, I say very good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're watching, and bye for now. Okay, Yomi, thank you very, very much. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to exactly 11:46. We're going to take a quick break, and once we come back, I'll take you to number is it number 11? Well, where there's some updates. The Chancellor of the Exchequer has made a statement. I'll be bringing you those details. I promise you that I wasn't going to make you miss anything there. But Joseph K says Yoruba Nation now, no going back. All right then. So, the Zongo man has said it. Let's enjoy that song. It says, use the ballot box to actually give them a bloody nose. Are we going to be doing so? Can that happen? Well. I'm not sure about that,
But those who want to go to the vote, to go to the elections, please don't sell your conscience. Yes, they'll give you the money. It's your own money. Listen to the crude oil. Listen to the story about the crude oil that has been siphoned and everything that is going on. It's your own money. So get the money, but don't vote for them. They'll tell you that they want to take you to whatever gods to swear on whatever. Now, because what they have done is wrong, nothing will happen to you. Because if thief, God laughs because he thinks that, look at what these people are doing. Somebody wants to outsmart each other. But enjoy this song and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
No sound bites, no slogan shouting. Use the ballot box. Use the ballot box. Use your vote. Go to the polling station and give them a bloody nose. Go to the polling station and give them a bloody nose.
Okay, something from the Zongo man himself talking about the ballot elections. Will the election hold? Well, we have a Chico who has said to be have made a statement that actually maligning or saying that the Yorubas or the Igbos are not that important, or is what the Northerners need. Well, he's saying that I've built bridges, and the bridges is married from both the Yoruba and the Igbo groupings as well. So he thinks that well that is building bridges. But what do you think about all that? It is Starr Radio UK. I'm going to take you straight to number 11, where we have the Chancellor of the Exchequer making a statement. He has made that statement, but because I promised listeners I'm going to bring your way, I'm going to bring you the full take of that as well. So we'll listen to that and then we'll continue with the program. So stay tuned, don't you go away.
Changes, we will no longer be proceeding with the cuts to dividend tax rates, the reversal of off-payroll working reforms introduced in 2017 and 2021, the new VAT-free shopping scheme for non-UK visitors, or the freeze on alcohol duty rates. Secondly, the government's current plan is to cut the basic rate of income tax to 19% from April 2023. It is a deeply held conservative value, a value that I share, that people should keep more of the money they earn. But at a time when markets are rightly demanding commitment to sustainable public finances, it is not right to borrow to fund this tax cut. So I've decided that the basic rate of income tax will remain at 20%, and it will do so indefinitely until economic circumstances allow for it to be cut. Taken together with the decision not to cut corporation tax and restoring the top rate of income tax, the measures I've announced today will raise every year around £32 billion. Finally, the biggest single expense in the growth plan was the energy price guarantee. This is a landmark policy supporting millions of people through a difficult winter. And today I want to confirm that the support we are providing between now and April next year will not change. But beyond that, the Prime Minister and I have agreed it would not be responsible to continue exposing public finances to unlimited volatility in international gas prices. So I'm announcing today a Treasury-led review into how we support energy bills beyond April next year. The objective is to design a new approach that will cost the taxpayer significantly less than planned, whilst ensuring enough support for those in need. Any support for businesses will be targeted to those most affected, and the new approach will better incentivise energy efficiency. The most important objective for our country right now is stability. Governments cannot eliminate volatility in markets, but they can play their part, and we will do so, because instability affects the prices of things in shops, the cost of mortgages, and the values of pensions. There will be more difficult decisions, I'm afraid, on both tax and spending, as we deliver our commitment to get debt falling as a share of the economy over the medium term. All departments will need to redouble their efforts to find savings, and some areas of spending will need to be cut. But as I promised at the weekend, our priority in making the difficult decisions that lie ahead will always be the most vulnerable. And I remain extremely confident about the UK's long-term economic prospects as we deliver our mission to go for growth. But growth requires confidence and stability, and the United Kingdom will always pay its way. This government will therefore take whatever tough decisions are necessary to do so. Thank you.
Well.
Well, that was the statement by the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Doom and gloom. What do you think? How are the markets reacting to that? We're going to be bringing you more on that front in a moment. But let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll look at that. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Vedasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Welcome back to the program. Tougher times for those of us living in the UK. Whew. Wow. Let me bring you a summary of what the Chancellor said. The Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, has ditched almost all Prime Minister Liz Truss's plans to cut tax announced in the government's mini budget 3 weeks ago. The basic rate of income tax will remain at 20p indefinitely. Now, instead of it being reduced to 19p, the cap on energy bill is now guaranteed until April next year. Guaranteed until April next year. but will then be reviewed. It's saying that they are having, they're going to have a review. The team is going to review that policy. Okay, and then the planned cuts to stamp duty and national insurance that will go ahead. Now, Han says his announcement bringing forward measures from an economic plan on the 31st of October is designed to calm financial turmoil following the mini budget. He will address the MPs in the Houses of Commons at 15:30. Now, Truss has been meeting cabinet ministers as she attempts to shore up her premiership following calls from some Tory MPs for her to go. But what does this statement that the Chancellor made mean to you, those of us living in the UK? I'll touch on that briefly before we move on to other parts of the world to look at the stories making the rounds there. Dismantling policies from the so-called mini budget or of just a few weeks ago, Chancellor Jeremy Hunt has rewritten the prospects for the finances. The government's energy price guarantee was originally put in place for 2 years. Now, to limit the price that suppliers could charge for each unit of energy. Now that will be limited to only 6 months. So what I'm going to be doing for the next 18 months afterward. Now, just to cover this winter, the Treasury will review support given from April. But Han said there will be a new approach targeting those in the most need. Now remember, you will still pay for the gas and electricity you use for a typical household. One that uses 12,000 kilowatts hours of gas a year and 2,900 kilowatts hour of electricity a year, it means an annual bill and still not rise will still not rise above 2,500 until next spring. Now, last winter it was 1,277 a year. After that, the detail will be decided by the review. Now, the announcement contains there's plenty to digest from the Chancellor's surprise economic announcement. Here's a quick recap of it. Now, what does it say? Cuts to stamp duty and national insurance remains in place. So those are the ones that the cuts are still going to go ahead. Now, the second one goes to the planned 1p cut in basic rate of income tax that has been put on hold indefinitely. So the rate, as I said earlier on, will remain at 20%. Now, energy price guarantee will no longer last for 2 years. It will last until April next year and then be reviewed. So if you are thinking that, oh yeah, so now let's chill and that, no. Okay, now dividend tax cut will be abolished. So you're going to be paying taxes on your dividends. So no more cuts, the taxes, the cut to the taxes there. Now, VAT-free shopping, alcohol duty freezes, and 2021 reforms. Now, plans to repeal reforms of off-payroll working rules, also known as I-35 rules, changes. We'll be talking more about that. Now, Hunt vowed there will be more difficult decisions on tax and spending, and that there will have to be cuts. And where are they going to be cutting? Is it going to impact you or is it going to impact me? The Chancellor will give a statement to the House of the Commons later today. Now, roughly 45 billion of unfunded tax cuts has in just 3 weeks and 3 days seen 32 billion reversal. Now, we may need new terminology. U-turn suggests a controlled maneuver. There is like a plane. This is like a plane trying to do the jet engine equivalent of a handbrake turn. You know that? Yeah, tricky. Yeah, it spins around. Yeah, you do a U-turn there. But it will have a real impact, particularly the decision to target energy bills, help in a more targeted way after April. There are reasonable questions now about higher taxes and less help as we enter a recession. Now, much of this has been inevitable since Monday after the mini budget. It should help regain economic credibility, but it is such a political turn about 10 that one wonders if the whole cabinet, government, and Conservative Party will support it. The new Chancellor message will be this: there is no alternative. Well, it is a minute after 12, and this is Starr Radio UK. Let me announce the lines open before I bring you some music. Now, if you want to contact us, you are in the UK, or those of you in wherever you are, these are the numbers. Now, if you're in the UK, 0208-133-2257 or 58, 0208-133-2257 or 58. If you happen to be in the US, Canada, or the Caribbean area, it's 011-303 Yes, 011-718-303-2737. 011-718-303-2737. Now, you want to text or WhatsApp as 075-3966-1744. 075-3966-1744. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK, and email address is info@starradiouk.com. I'll be following that story very, very closely and be giving you reaction from the various quarters. What is the Labour Party saying about this? U-turns. More will be coming your way. But now, let's take a musical break. And this time around, the Zongo man says, where is the dollar? This Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to exactly 6 minutes past the top of the hour. And that was the Zongo man asking you, where is the dollar? 10 men share 10 $10. They were all in $1 denomination, you know. But one man didn't get some. Maybe one out of the dollar notes stuck to the other one. So that's why, you know, I know that happens a lot when it comes to the African continent. But here, wow, institutions are said that they whip and make sure that everything seems to be taken along nicely. As I said, some reactions from the market, the stock market. The pound have risen and government borrowing costs fell as investors welcome the news. The Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is reversing almost all tax measures set out in the mini budget. Now, sterling extended early morning gains against the dollar and is now trading at around $1.13. The news also saw the interest rate or yield on UK government bonds fall, making government borrowing less expensive. The yield on bonds due to be repaid in 30 years' time, which dropped when markets opened on Monday morning, fell further after Hunt's statement to 4.35%. Now, meanwhile, the yield on bonds due to be repaid in 5 years' time, which underpins the cost of new 5-year fixed rate mortgages, also fell to 3.86%. The drop in yields suggests financial markets are welcoming the changes to economic plans. It is all Starr Radio UK, and those are some stories making the rounds across the globe pertaining to the statement that the Chancellor of the Exchequer has made, Jeremy Hunt. All right, now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds. Now, Galamsey's mock Ekufuado as the mine in the night. They say, well, you take all our tools, our equipment, we're going to use our hands to mine. Now, the question is, what is making people do this? The Asante Hine Otunfo Osei has made a statement that, look, what is happening is that the chiefs, where in localities or communities where this galamsey is going on, are either beneficiaries of what is happening or are not doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, so which is which? Now, Odike, one politician did make a statement a couple of weeks ago, and then about a month back, and because of that, where he was alluding that there are some chiefs in there who that is in the Mansia Palace, that is who he thinks that are part of the galamsey issue that is going on. Well, he was chastised the program, what do you call it, the network that broadcast that was taken off air, was suspended for about a week plus. We were here on the platform saying that, well, you know what, if it happens that anything of the sort has to be done, it is a regulator that's supposed to be doing that. If it's in part of the world, we have Ofcom that will be seeing to that. In Ghana, what happened to that? Is Ashanti Kingdom or the Ashanti the Ashanti Palace that went and say, hey, you cannot do that, you cannot, we're taking you off air for some time until the person came to apologize and all that. But this is Ashanti Hine making the same statement there. What is different from that? Well, and do you think that the government has lost its mandate to actually pursue the fight against these galamseyers? Last week we had one statement coming from the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources making a statement that the failure or success of the fight against galamsey is all on the heads of the military, because they've been given the mandate to do so. When somebody is arrested and then you have somebody say, leave the person alone, leave the person alone. Really? Wow. It's all Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In the next 90 minutes, we'll be crossing over to Cyprus, where we have our own HRH Linda Pallien, who will be joining in. But if you want to make a statement on the show, feel free to do so. Well, and some other stories making the rounds in Ghana as well. 4 public university workers union strike over vehicle maintenance allowance. Well, I don't blame them, do I? When you have people, ministers and all this, what do we call them, Article 1? And then they have what they have garden boys, kitchen boys, shirt allowance, working allowance, chalet water allowance, and everything allowance there. Now, so if these ones are also calling for vehicle maintenance allowances, then of course they deserve that, because if you're not paying them to actually match whatever lifestyle that they are supposed to be leading, then of course there's a shortfall. You don't want them receiving bribes, do we? Now, petrol diesel prices now going for 13 Ghana cedis and 15.99 per liter. That is petrol 13, diesel 15.99. Interesting. Per liter? No, it's not per liter. Give me a minute. Per gallon or per liter? Okay, let me bring that your way because it's pertaining to those of you in Ghana. Oil markets, a marketing company, have begun increasing prices of petroleum products at the pumps. This is due to the fortnight review of petroleum prices that took off from today. That's October. That was yesterday. The increment has become possible because of the light increase in the price of crude oil on the world market during the period and the sharp depreciation of the cedi. Checks by some news networks say selling the price of petrol per liter for 13 Ghana cedis. Yes, it's 13.10. Wow, from the previous 11.10, 0.10, about 16% increase. Well, has there been an adjustment in the incomes of people according to that? Well. Somebody say no. So, fortunately or unfortunately, what's going to happen is that, cost of living is going to rise. Everything, fare, transport prices are going to rise. Food prices are rising like no man's business. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Quickly, let's touch on one other story, and it's around from the Galamsey, where a notorious Galamsey Queen has been arrested in Kwame Antokrom, a community near Enchi, Dadia Swaba in Suaman district in the western north region. The suspect, Mawusi Azuma, has been engaging in illegal mining in the area for years with support from her conspirators. The story says she recruits desperate unemployed youth from Volta region and Togo to work for her. She currently has more than 20 illegal miners working for her in the area. She started, here in 2015. Some of us started fighting against them, but the chiefs and some elders have been taking monies from them to mine. 99% of the illegal miners with her are from the Volta region in Togo, but the situation has become worse in recent times. They are currently mining in the Bia River and destroying cocoa farms without the consent of the farmers. Really? Because of the operation, River Bia has overflowed its bank, causing serious flooding, a resident said. Now, what is government going to do about, what are the communities doing about that as well? Well, yeah, have mercy on us, oh God. All right then. Let's move on. 12:15 the time. Now, Ethiopia, AU has renewed calls for truce, a peace talk to take place as well. The African Union on Sunday called for immediate ceasefire in Tigray, where violence is escalating with rebels in the northern Ethiopian region, saying they were ready to respect it. Now, the town of Shai in northwestern Tigray has been bombed for several days in a joint offensive by the Ethiopian and Eritrean troops against the Tigrayan rebel that has resulted in several civilian casualties. A member of the International Rescue Committee, an NGO providing disaster relief, was killed and another wounded in one of these attacks on Friday, which left 2 other civilians dead, according to the IRC. After UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed concern about the escalating violence, AU Commission Chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat called for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. The chairperson urges the parties to reiterate their commitment to dialogue in accordance with their agreement for direct talks to be convened in South Africa, he added in a statement. We hope that happens, but it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Equatorial Guinea, 2 candidates against Tidoro Obiang in the presidential election. Well, two candidates will face off in Equatorial Guinea on November 20 against President Teodoro Obiang Nguema Basogo, who is seeking a 6th term. What has he got? When they say the queen was in the helm, but she was just a ceremonial head. The main work was being done by the Prime Minister. Okay, but what do you think about all that? So coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's move on quickly to other parts of the world because we are pressed with time now. Now, when it comes to some of the stories making the rounds in other parts of the world, yesterday I did talk about this story. A Hong Kong pro-democracy protester was pulled into Chinese consulate grounds in Manchester on Sunday and beaten up. Unidentified men came out of the consulate and forced a man inside the compound before he escaped with the help of police and other demonstrators. They didn't come out to beat him, they pulled him in and whipped him up. Now, the protester said, they dragged me inside. The protester said, they dragged me inside, they beat me up. A consulate spokesperson said protesters had displayed an insulting portrait of China's president. So do you go pull them in to beat them up? The Foreign Office said it was urgently seeking clarity on the incident. Greater Manchester Police has launched an investigation. Now, speaking after the incident, the protester called Bob said Chinese, that mainlanders, people from mainland China, as opposed to Hong Kong, came out of the consulate and destroyed their protests, their posters. As we tried to stop them, they dragged me inside, they beat me up, he said, adding that he was then pulled out by the UK police. It is ridiculous. The attackers shouldn't have done that. We are supposed to have freedom to say whatever we want here in the UK. After the incident, the crowd remained angry. Protesters shouted at the men from the consulate and the British police, arguing they could have done more. The consulate staff had previously asked the protesters to move to the opposite side of the street. There were 2 police officers at the protest, but several more appeared within minutes of the altercation beginning. They gathered at the gates of the compound, trying to break up the fighting and move protesters back. One police officer entered the consulate grounds and pulled the man who had been dragged inside back out. At least 8 men, some of whom were wearing helmets and protective vests, then returned to the consulate building. The consulate is on UK soil but cannot be entered without consent. Reacting on Twitter, former Conservative leader Ian Duncan Smith said the UK government should demand a full apology from the Chinese ambassador and that those involved should be sent back to China. Will they be able to say so or do so? Now, protests outside embassies and consulates in Britain often involve a few scuffles. Police are often on hand to keep the peace, but rarely do consular staff emerge onto the street to pull down banners and posters, and even more rarely are protesters dragged through the gates and apparently beaten up. So it is not surprising that there are growing calls for the Foreign Secretary James Cleverly to summon Chinese ambassador in Britain for an explanation. Labour's Foreign Affairs spokesman David Lammy said the alleged assault was unacceptable. The question of peaceful protests will never be tolerated on our street, he said. Well, but they've done so. That was whilst the Communist Party were doing their own thing in China. Xi doubling down. Okay, so Xi Jinping doubles down on zero COVID as meeting opens. China's President Xi Jinping signaled there will be no immediate loosening of his controversial zero COVID strategy as a historic Communist Party Congress opened in Beijing. In a break in the decades-long tradition, delegates are likely to hand Mr. Xi a 3rd term as party chief. Now, zero COVID was a people's war to stop the spread of the virus. He said the policy has saved lives, but also exacted a punishing toll on the Chinese people and the economy. There is increasing public fatigue over lockdowns and travel restrictions. Beijing has come under strict security measures ahead of the Congress, sparking frustration in the city with a rare and dramatic public protest on Thursday criticizing Mr. Xi and zero COVID. Somebody said that why didn't they go to other parts of China, maybe some of their islands, to have that conference there so that people can go about their duties, doing their work there? Well, that is a strong man with a strong arm doing his own thing. What do you think about all that? Coming away from Starr Radio, okay? It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, now one other story, or a couple of stories before we cross over to Cyprus, where our own HRH Linda Pallien is. Now, Kyiv has been attacked by kamikaze drones once again. There are some of the stories making the rounds there. Russia has hit Ukraine with a wave of attacks, including a Iranian-made kamikaze drone on the capital Kyiv. The strikes hit critical infrastructure in 3 regions, cutting off electricity in hundreds of villages across the country, according to the Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal. Now, several people have been killed, says the Ukrainian Interior Minister. A week ago, the capital was hit by Russian missiles at rush hour, part of the nationwide attacks which left 19 people dead. Mr. Shmyhal said the Russian strike had hit regions of Kyiv, Dnipro and Sumy with strikes. Now, Russia said it had hit all designated targets in the latest attacks, confirming that Ukraine's military command facility and energy system had been targeted. Now, 4 people were killed after an energy generating facility was hit in the northeastern Sumy region, according to Ukraine's Deputy Interior Minister Yohan Yenin. Now, Russia is hunting for all energy-related facilities. Mr. Yenin warned they want to cause chaos in the energy industry. It shows their desperation, said Andriy Yermak, head of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's staff. And in the city of Mykolaiv, sunflower oil tanks were set on fire by the suicide drones, said the city's mayor Alexandra Senvich. Mr. Senvich said 3 drones ignited the tanks of Mykolaiv late on Sunday evening, hours before the attack in Kyiv. A Ukrainian Air Force official said since last night, 37 drones had been destroyed, which had all flown into this country from the south. Well, when will all this end? Well, since it started 24th of February. Well, we'll be watching very, very closely. It's getting to winter time, and that part of the world, when it comes to winter, this is proper, real winter in those areas. But what is going to happen to them? What is going to happen to them? What is going to happen to them? Well, those are some stories making the rounds in or across the globe. One other story that we picked up or touched on briefly pertains to what was happening in Iran. The death toll from a fire at Iran's notorious Evin prison has risen from 4 to 8. Iran's judiciary has said in a statement. Officials said dozens were injured in the blaze at the jail in Tehran on Saturday night. Now, hundreds of those taking part in anti-government protests, which have swept the country for the past month, have been sent to Evin prison. It is not clear whether the incident at the jail was connected to the unrest. The judiciary said the fire began in a prison workshop after a fight among inmates. Now, State TV said it was a premeditated escape plan, which the head of the prisons in Tehran said was foiled by the security forces. However, a witness inside the prison said that prisoners had not set fire to the site. In a video from the northeast district of Namak, chants of death to the dictator, a reference to Iran's supreme leader, among others, can be heard in the dark. Well, I know they will quell any attempts of people trying to behave that way. But what do you think is going to happen? This is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, interestingly, for us running up the program, Kenya's President Ruto says the move, he has disbanded a killer police squad like the SARS in Nigeria. So Ruto says the move was part of reforming the police, which has previously been linked with killings. Now, Africa's health boards decries. Okay, those are some of the stories there. I cannot bring you details of it, but God willing, tomorrow I'll do my best to see, God willing, to bring you all the details of that as well, giving reassurance to all of our late. Has disbanded an elite police unit which has allegedly been linked to extrajudicial killings in the country in recent years. The president, who came to office in September, said the move was part of efforts to overhaul the country's security sector. He told a church congregation yesterday, "I'm the one who ordered that special service unit that was conducting extrajudicial killings be disbanded. We have a plan on how to secure this country so that we avoid the shame of Kenyans killed elsewhere and bodies dumped in Yala River and others. We are going to change this country for the better." Kenya's Daily Motion network said an investigation report on the disappearance of 2 Indian nationals and their local taxi driver precipitated this disbandment of the unit. The 2 Indians arrived in Kenya in April to join Mr. Ruto's campaign team ahead of August general election, but went missing 3 months later with their Kenyan taxi driver, the paper said. Well, because of that, he decided, let's ban it, and it's done so. But what do you think? A lot more going to be coming your way. I'm going to take a break, and once we come back, I bring you the one and only HRH Linda Pallien. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
To give It's a disgrace. Where is the dollar? 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 Give gorilla bananas to give to monkey. Hey, hey, hey. Give gorilla bananas to give to monkey. You guys know.
How was the weekend?
Busy.
Well treated by Mr. Pallien on Valentine's Day.
Always.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's good to know that your sister has been treated good by your brother-in-law, and you feel very happy. Yes, nice to hear that. Okay. So what are we looking at today?
Well, while we're on the topic of Valentine's Day and love, is 4 ways to incorporate love into your career or business.
4 ways to incorporate
love.
Oh wow. Okay. In your business. Oh my, interesting one. Okay, a bit of smile will do. And what else? Well, listen.
I think you're going to love this topic.
I think I really love it. I really love it. Okay, I'm going to leave the ball in your shot for you to unveil what it's all about for us. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Okay, so in this episode, we're talking about how to incorporate love into your career and business. What is love? It's an important part of our everyday existence as human beings, and it somehow has been relegated to just the love of another human being or between people. But actually, love is a central force and energy that we execute most things with, including your work. Whether it's a job, whether it's a career, whether it's your own business, whether it's working for someone. But how can we have more of this beautiful feeling that people work and serve others with? So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
So I've got 4 ways that we'll discuss, and then we can elaborate on them more. So the first thing is, if you're working for somebody, or if you're working on anything, whether it's a project or a charitable, whether it's your career or a charitable project, it's love for the particular company. So for example, when we're going to interview for a company and you think, I really want to work for this company, it's usually because we bought into the values of the company or the mission of the company or what the company has been set up to achieve. So incorporating love will be buying into their values and attaching your greater cause. We talk about your big why to the company's values, and you can incorporate more love in there that way, because now it's personal to you and it's aligned with what you're trying to achieve. So it makes it easier for you. There's a beautiful saying that says, do what you love in service of people. Do what you love in service of people. And I think it was Denzel Washington that says, what does he say? Serve others and make a difference. Don't seek only to make a living. Seek to make a difference.
Okay.
And you can only do that out of genuine love to make a difference. And you're most likely guaranteed 99% of the time to make a great living doing it. But if you set out to just make money out of something, it becomes a harder ask. It's possible to do something you don't love, but it becomes a harder ask. And if you find yourself having to do something you don't love, you can attach love to it. So by as we said last week, attaching it to what happens if I don't do this. So I'm making someone's life easier. I'm making a clean environment for people. Therefore, I want to do it willingly and in service. So that's the first way to incorporate love into your work. The second way is the love for people. Love for people. In every work that you do, there's people involved at some stage. Okay, if not directly, at some stage later down the line. And if you do this properly in certain love, you've got empathy, which means that you're going to understand people more and how they work, which means you're going to be patient and not short-tempered with them, especially if someone has made a mistake on your presentation. Or it's having that compassion for humankind, having the love for people so that you want to help them with their problems or solve problems for people. That's what businesses do, that's what companies do. You identify a problem and solve that need. And that can be associated with love, right? Also, in recruiting, you're helping because of the love of people. You can see someone's goal or someone's mission, and you're helping them accomplish their goal by giving them that opportunity in a business. I was watching, was it an Ellen show, where this homeless girl got a job and she was dancing in the parking lot. And it was just someone helping her out. And the recruiter understood, she didn't explicitly say she was homeless, but the recruiter understood how much of a difference just having that job will give or will make to that young lady, even if it was just Burger King, but just making a difference. And I'm not saying just Burger King because that's not a job, but I just said you don't need to be at the highest level to make a difference to someone. It's just believing in somebody's business dreams enough to maybe like their page or share it on your profile with others, or talk about it to your friends. That's again showing love for people. Am I still here?
Yes, you are here. We can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah, there was a bit of interference there, but it's okay. We can hear you loud and clear. Please.
Okay, awesome. And also, in terms of developing people, building their confidence in the way you might give feedback when somebody has done something for you, rather than tearing them down, telling them that they're hopeless and they're useless and they don't know how to do anything. That incorporates that love into the way we build people up, and their confidence will help to inject more humanity into the workplace and more love. And when people work out of love, believe me, they'll stay in a situation where you can't even afford to pay them, or they'll go the extra mile for you a lot longer than they will if there isn't love and it's just transactional without the emotion. Because human beings are emotive people. We work if we feel safe, we feel love, we feel belonging. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And love is there, like right as a fundamental for human beings, just in a given situation. Now the third one is love for efficiency and ease, and this is for the analytical, the more analytical ones, right? Is there a way that we can do things better? Can we make someone else's life easier? Can we facilitate something so that there's a smoother process for it? I'm talking about project management, I'm talking about operations, I'm talking about inventions. When we look at something and go, I really want to make a difference in this sector, or I really want to make someone else's life easier, or make my grandmother's life easier by giving her inventing a scooter rather than having her walk miles with a cane, or something like that. So again, just the love for efficiency and ease helps you to further develop your business. So if you're listening to this and you're not an inventor and you think this is completely far removed from you, you can figure out, how can I incorporate more love into my work, my daily work environment? Can I share some of my values with the blogs that I'm doing so that I can help other people see or experience the joy that I see, or see my point of view? How can I make things easier for my customers? Do I need to ask them 5 questions, or can I cut it down to 3 to make the experience a bit more enjoyable? I'll give you an example. I was working with my assistant today about following up with people, and she says, actually, if we ask them all of these questions, by the time we got to what we want them to do, they would be turned off. Can we make it easier?
It's true.
And you sort of need one to listen to other people's opinions, and that is love, but also to create that environment that people are able to share with you what they think will be an improvement method without being shut down or feeling like they're stepping out of line. You know, so giving people room to grow, that is also love. And finally, we talk about management and making decisions in a way that cares for people and the world we live in. So when companies are doing corporate social responsibility in terms of sponsoring charities or going green or sponsoring an initiative that is a charitable or philanthropic cause, that is also another way of showing love. And ideally, it will be out of genuine love rather than a tick box exercise. Because sometimes companies come across as, we have to do this, you know, just to look like we're doing it. We have to meet our quota for emissions. And people can see through that, right? You tell when somebody genuinely cares, or if they're ticking their box. But even as a manager, it's your job to make people feel like you're contributing because you care, rather than out of obligation and duty. So there's love and business go together, hand in hand. I mean, apart from the obvious workplace love affairs and all that. We're talking about the genuine, pure, agape love of really being in service to humankind and getting that sort of compassion into our everyday work that we do.
Wow. Listeners, Starr Radio UK, Career 101 with HRH Linda Pallien, and today we're looking at 4 ways to incorporate love into your career and business. Now, Linda, let me ask you this first question. Do you think that during our training, or when people are deciding to go on a particular path, that is where this love should be exhibited? Because, you know, there are some people who have gone into some jobs, let me put it that way, or careers, and you know that they did that reluctantly, maybe because at the time that was what was available, or so they are there, they are getting good monies, they might be up there, yet the love that they have to just attach to it is not there, and therefore it comes out, or it shows when they are with their colleagues, or when they are doing their jobs. You can see that it's emitting there. How do we deal with that?
I think at whatever stage you are at, it's good to take account of what you're doing and maybe how to introduce that. Ideally, in an ideal world, you would learn that right before you go into the career. But as you say, sometimes you're forced into a career, and especially in the cases where you sort of inherit a family business, you don't really get a choice of whether to go in there or not. It's just thrust upon you. So it's your obligation to understand how much love you have in there and how to either incorporate more in or throw in the towel and do something you love. Because and this is a good point, if you're doing something that you're completely miserable at, the natural thing to do will be to stop and do something that you could actually love all the time. But sometimes it's not possible, or you might have mouths to feed, or dependent, or just a longer transition process. Yeah. So that you can get this love somewhere, so you're not this bitter person all the time. Mm-hmm. You can take the bitterness out of it, you know. So at least neutral. And then from neutral we can work on injecting more things you love. But as we said last week, in terms of you don't have to get confidence from just your job, but all of these other personal aspects can boost your confidence in your professional growth. If your family life is well, or you can count your blessings in other ways, it helps incorporate more love into you as a person. Therefore, you're able to act from a place of compassion for others. Even if you're working on something that you don't like, you can find something that you like or love about it or the person you're working with, so that it's a bit easier. But the ideal situation would be to do something that you can apply the maximum amount of love to, so that you'll get the best outcome. And that's what we all want, the best outcome with what we've got.
Yeah. But is there a way where if somebody is in a job or in a profession where they don't, there's no love there, the love ankasa is not there, but is there a way to maybe through some training or something to get that love maybe revamped or opened gradually to feel? Is there any way like that people like that can actually maybe put some love in their career or their businesses?
And the first step to change is awareness. I mean, it's understanding the impact of the absence of love on performance in the work. Can you increase your performance or your efficiency, or at least your likability, or amongst people by it? But it's hard to help someone do that if they don't realize that they're missing that. And so, one, by taking the stock account of what's causing the unhappiness there. There's a lot of, I think the more work people do on themselves, or in their spiritual lives and their personal lives, the easier it is to apply. You'll see that people who have some sort of faith or spiritual alliance tend to bring that into the work they do. So you will see somebody who's being treated horribly at work, but still has a smile on their face because of what goes on in their personal life and how rich they are in their own spirit, you know. And again, those things are transferable. As I say, I never separate personal and professional life because it goes hand in hand. So if you're not getting it at work, then get it from home, or get it from yourself, so that you can start to translate it into your work.
Okay, listeners, Starr Radio UK, 4 ways to incorporate love into your career and business. That's what we had a look at. I'll go back to Linda to just summarize what we've said so far, and then we will she'll put the contact details across for you and add anything else that you want to add, lady, and then we'll bring the program to a close. Over to you, lady.
Absolutely. So we're talking about love and in your career and business. It's not separate from your personal life as it is in your business. You need to be actively and very importantly introducing love into everything that you do, and especially in your professional life, because that's what's going to stand you in good stead in terms of finishing your projects, in terms of being able to get the recognition and the career that you deserve, in terms of being able to achieve whatever it is that you set out to achieve. So that's really important, to incorporate love into your career and business. If you want to know more about this topic, I've written so much about it, and I talk about incorporating your personal and professional development. You can contact me directly. via my website, lindapallien@lindapallien.com, or hello@lindapallien.com via email, or on social media @Linda Pallien on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, of course. And let me know what you thought about this. If there was a job experience that you've had that there was no love and you had to find love, or there was too much love, if there's ever such a thing, whatever it is, I would love to hear from you on your experience of this.
Well, maybe too much love for your work, and then you decide not to be coming home. Your partner is pursuing you.
Yeah, that could happen.
It does happen.
Too much love at work and you don't want to go home.
And then those who are working from home as well, love. That's so passionate about a job that when it's time for them to even finish, they don't want to get off their laptops or this and come be at home. Well, whatever it is.
Stay in the office. The less time you have to babysit the kids. So
you see the wisdom there. Okay, that's a good one. Linda, let me say thank you very much for this wonderful time once again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.
Right, you're welcome. So have a lovely day and we'll catch up later then.